There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, that's all good. Are we live?
I think we're live. Hey guys, hi. It's Debbie, Seidel, Bittke, Dental Practice Solutions, and we've got Doug here.
With Aldrich?
And we're just getting ready for our Facebook Live, which is about to begin.
What time is it?
It's 26 minutes after the hour, so we got 4 more minutes.
Right.
So we're just getting all set up here, and we're waiting for you guys to tell all your friends to come on over, because we are going to be talking and sharing some information with you on the new tax laws. And I wrote some notes down because I was learning about this, and there's so much that we all need to know. So bring your friends over. Doug, I'm going to go grab my notes that I didn't bring with me. So what do you guys want to know? One of the things I was looking up is inheritance. You know, that's changing.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, if you just inherited money in 2018, it's a huge difference.
Massive difference in
Massive,
estate.
yeah. You don't get to take as much money. I don't know if you remember all the details about it.
We'll get into that, but big picture. Well, I don't know if we want to start yet. So as we're getting ready, I'm going to ask you a question, Debbie, off topic.
Sure.
Okay. Since we're in the middle of the Olympics,
we almost lost you. We're in the middle of the Olympics.
Okay, Pyeongchang. So, Debbie, what is your favorite Olympic event?
Oh my gosh. Well, anything to do with ice skating, I totally love.
Okay.
I really like the ice dancing.
Really?
I do.
Yeah,
but most recently they've been having the pairs.
Yes. Beautiful.
And I'm of course rooting for the USA.
Sure.
But last night I was pretty happy for the couple that won from Germany.
Yeah, really nice.
You know, they've tried so hard, and I know what it's like to want something so bad.
So I have two favorite events. They're kind of diametrically opposed. I love the snowboard half pipe. I don't know if you saw Chloe Kim, the 17-year-old. Oh my God,
yes.
Unreal.
My husband said
Unreal.
She looks just like Kate, our office manager.
Really? Oh, just amazing to have that level of composure at that age. And then the other event that I love, which I said is diametrically opposed, is curling. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I grew up near Canada. I grew up in North Dakota. So maybe it's because I kind of grew up near Canada that I'm partial to curling. But there's something about it. And they're screaming and yelling as they're sweeping along.
I know. I think that's so interesting how there's going to be. I was thinking we could move over here a little bit more.
All right.
So we'll be more. So I wanted to say that the girl that's 17, I saw on Facebook, and everything on Facebook's true, right?
Of course. We know that.
Well, I heard that she's from Torrance, California, which is where I grew up.
Yeah, well, really, because I know that her dad would drive her to, I can't remember what mountain is near there, like 4-hour round trip to train.
Yeah, Snow Summit or
something
Big
like
Bear around
something
there.
like that. Yeah, so anyway,
Mount Baldy, maybe.
She has been obviously on a snowboard for most of her life, but and I guess she would have qualified. I think she would have qualified in the 2014 Olympics, but she was too young. She was only 13.
Oh wow!
So there's an age limit before you can even qualify. So anyway. Love the Olympics.
Yeah, and it's been really a tough time for them because they had to cancel some of the events because of the wind, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of dangerous. Yeah. So, anyways, I want to say, guys, if you look down on our Facebook page, we don't want you to leave right now, but we are having, Dental Practice Solutions is having 14 Days of Love. I was telling Doug a little bit about this, but we are going to be giving away a gift worth $2,500. And what that includes is Cindy and Cindy's one of our main dental consultants, and she's got a wealth of information. I mean, she was an office manager for 14 years, and now she still works part-time clinically here and there. She still has her hands wet as a dental hygienist, but she has a wealth of knowledge in the front office. So we've been pulling in some of the KPIs, and we give them a 30,000-foot overview of what's going on in the office financially. And then Cindy and I are doing a 1-hour team training, and every week we're looking over their numbers for a month.
Wow! So they get this out of the gate to get to see the value of what you can provide.
Right. So if you find a post on Facebook, all you have to do to enter is share it, like it, and share it, and whoever has shared it the most wins. So I just thought to tell you, I was telling you about it because your clients can also. Doug's with Aldrich Advisors. They are a wealth management dental CPA firm here in Portland area, but They have clients all over the United States.
Yep, just like Debbie, we have clients, 300 plus dental practices we work with. Some are in the Northwest, but a lot are around the country. And so due to our speaking engagements and events that we do, we get to know people all over the country, which is fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I want you guys to be looking on dentalpracticesolutions.com, because I don't know if you're going to put it up on Aldrich. What is your website?
AldrichAdvisors.com.
Okay. We are going to be doing an event live in Portland, Oregon in September.
Yep.
Do you remember what the date is? It the 21st or the 20th?
21st sounds familiar.
The 21st.
Don't quote me, but yeah.
It's that one, I think it's the third Friday, and it'll be at the Embassy Suites in Portland, Oregon. We'll be announcing that next week. And then also, Doug and I are going to be going all over. We both have been at the Washington AGD, which is in Seattle, right by the airport. So we might be doing something there. And
tomorrow, if any of you are in the Medford, Oregon area, the beautiful Medford, Oregon area, Debbie and I are both going to be participating in a charity event that the Southern Oregon Dental Society is putting on for this incredible charity called Living Opportunities. They help people that are emotionally and physically disabled in Southern Oregon, and Patterson Dental is going to be involved, and some other folks. So we're both excited. I'm going to be a blackjack dealer. What are you going to be doing?
We're going to be blackjack dealers. Cindy Rogers is one of our consultants, and I'm going to be there too. And you'll notice us because we have these green visors. I'm going to let you borrow one of our armbands because you want to look professional.
I think it's at the Inn at the Commons. I think is the name of the
Inn
hotel.
at the Commons is where it's at.
So I'm pretty sure I'll be able to throw out more blackjacks than Debbie will. But I'll let you know. I'll let you know how it goes. We'll keep track tomorrow.
Doug, they promised if we could count to 21 that we could be a dealer.
Well, actually, you have to be able to count to 22. You have to know when they break.
Oh,
so you have to be able to count to at least 22.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I can do that. Anyways, I was kind of studying up on this because tax laws is not my forte. It's Doug's. I can just help you so that you make a lot of money, and hopefully you don't have to pay so much money if you talk to him. But Doug, I was listening to a webinar that you did with one of your dental CPAs, Carly Carlson.
Yep.
Big shout out to her. She's really something else. Young lady, but a wealth of knowledge. And I felt so depressed listening to that. It was depressing.
Well, which kind of surprised me, because as we were talking before we came on the air, so big picture, shifting gears here to the taxes, big picture, almost everybody's individual taxes are going to drop. The vast majority of people are going to pay less in taxes because they've reduced the tax rates. Okay, so in the old days, the top rate was 39.6, now it's 37. And also there's other levels in there that have been lowered. So for the vast majority of people, for the foreseeable into the near future, for a number of years, your taxes will probably drop.
Okay, that's good news to me.
Now there's other business implications we'll talk about, but on a personal level, most people will pay less in taxes.
So one of the things that I thought, some of you who are single, music to your ears is that now you get more to deduct, right? Yeah. It's better for you if you're single, because before you wanted to be married, right? If you were married, you got a better tax break. Isn't that right?
Well, yes, but so you might be referring to the standard deduction.
Yeah.
So what they've done for a number of people is taxes are going to get simpler, and we kind of joke about that to put it on a postcard, but the standard deduction is being doubled. So if you're single, your deduction is now moved up to $12,000. If you're married, filing jointly, like I am, shout out to my wife, 27 years.
Whoa.
It goes up to $24,000.
Yes.
So for the vast majority of people, well, for millions more people, unless you have significant mortgage interest that you pay and maybe some medical expenses and other things, a lot of people that didn't used to itemize will now take the $24,000 standard deduction if they're married. They'll get a bigger deduction, and their taxes will become simpler to do.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, but the thing that also depressed me is because for those people, and I mean, I'm, trying to pay this down, but for the people who have a second mortgage on their home, which I mean, I remember back in the 90s, it was like you could mortgage your house and then you could use that money for a down payment on another rental property. It was a great game to play.
Right.
But now you don't get to write that off, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, so first of all, they've reduced the overall mortgage limit. It went from $1 million down to $750,000, and actually it's a little bit deceiving because in the old laws you could also deduct $100,000 from your home equity line. So they've got so it was really 1.1 million.
Yes.
Now that 1.1 million has dropped to 750.
And I got depressed about that because if I buy another house, it's probably going to be $1 million.
Okay. That being said, Debbie, We appreciate your patriotism, and the national debt is almost $21 trillion. So thank you. Okay, our country thanks you. All right.
But when you go to buy a house, if you want, especially because I'm from Southern California and I want to have a house there again, it's over $1 million.
Probably for something the size of my closet here in Portland.
Exactly. So it's more like $2 million. But this is like, how am I ever going to justify this?
I don't know.
And then also, there was a cap. Now, what is this I wrote? Oh, in California and New York. So we have a lot of California doctors.
Yes.
That is, they lose a lot more in deductions.
Well, yes. So,
do you have information? Do you remember that part?
Yeah. So if you come from what's considered a high tax state, which is what California and New York and some others considered, there's a cap on the amount of deductions you can take for your state income taxes. It's $10,000.
Oh.
So if you're in some of those high tax states, it's gonna impact you, no question. Because in the past you could deduct the total amount of state taxes you had to pay from your federal. Now it's capped at $10,000. So, okay, so then here's the reason for all these back and forth. And we'll talk about, for example, they removed the Section 199 D-pad deduction if you mill your own crowns. It doesn't make any sense, but they had to find ways to grab some revenue. Because theoretically, the tax law is supposed to be revenue neutral. So every time I cut taxes somewhere, I'm supposed to raise them somewhere else to make it overall even.
Okay.
So they had to find some ways to grab some more tax back to make up for the tax cuts that we're all getting.
Okay.
And the state taxes, the mortgage that we talked about, those are some ways where they're trying to grab some revenue back. That being said, most experts do not think that this bill is revenue neutral. They think it will increase the deficit unless economic growth is greater than anticipated. So that's why there's these other funky things where they took away this or they grabbed some of that, because they have to try to balance out the inflow and the outflow of revenues.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize.
So there's a whole bunch, bunch of mechanisms going on. So when I said they got rid of the D-pad deduction, so a lot of our dental clients that are smart, they mill their own crowns, chairside.
Right.
We were able to calculate a deduction for them, oftentimes $5 or $10,000 a year.
Okay.
That's going away. That's going away. They can still take it in 2017. Okay. But after that, it's gone. It's bye-bye.
Oh boy.
So there you go.
So there, I was trying to find some good news because I told you I was like, oh my gosh. And as a business owner, I'm always looking for ways to deduct. I mean, my husband and I, I told you this before. He used to be our tax person.
Sure.
And now he can't do that anymore because there's so many deductions.
Yeah.
So I was getting kind of nervous listening to what you and Carly were talking about. So then I asked, it was the weirdest thing. I got an email about the new tax law. And it said, you have an opportunity to deduct the full amount of that your company will spend on equipment and software purchases during the period of January 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2018. And it's according to Section 179 of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So help me feel good about this.
So Section 179 is a common deduction that a lot of you may have already heard about.
I've heard about it. It was a couple of years ago we were talking about this.
And they made it permanent at $500,000. So if a dental practice bought a G-Whiz fully loaded cone beam and some other expensive digital equipment, they could deduct up to $500,000 that year from their income.
Good.
Now what they've done is they've taken that $500,000 amount and they've raised it to $1 million.
Oh, wow, that's huge.
So for most of our dental practices, if they choose to, they'll be able to deduct up to $1 million a year in equipment purchases, which is more than most of our practices need.
Of course.
If it's a DSO, if it's a dental organization, that comes into play.
Sure.
That helps them. But here's a caveat for you, Debbie. So if they buy equipment, let's say they buy a $200,000 fully loaded cone beam that makes you a latte on the side and it does everything, right? Okay, play some music for you.
Oh, amazing.
Sometimes the CPA will say, hey, let's deduct all that so you don't have to pay any taxes this year. Well, not necessarily the right answer. Sometimes you want to save some of that benefit of that deductions for future years.
Yes.
So you can keep it when you're toward the top of the tax stair step.
And this is one of the things. So one of the things that we've done for our clients is have Aldrich advisors, their CPAs have looked over this. And it's one of the things, one of your dental CPAs there said that our doctor wasn't making those annual, they weren't playing the game of a little bit each year.
Yes.
So now we got him making a lot more money.
Yep.
And the lady at your firm was like, oh, holy cow, what the heck, he got screwed. So I actually want to give you guys a shout out. Like I told, for those of you who just joined us, we are having a 14 days of love, and it's a prize that you win if you go down the page and see that Valentine's Day gift. So you get 30 days of Cindy and myself working, and we look at all your KPIs. But I want to actually offer up that we look at these things, because doctors are getting screwed with this. They didn't know that they need to depreciate it.
Well, in a sense, nor should they, because they're trusting their financial advisor. But here's the problem. There's a difference between someone doing your taxes versus tax planning. Anybody can do your taxes and say, oh, let's take all those deductions so you don't pay any taxes here. That's not tax planning. Tax planning is saying to the practice, okay, what's your income going to be in years 2, 3, 4, and 5? What else are you going to buy? What is the best way to utilize these tax incentives to maximize your deductions long term? Mm-hmm. Not just thinking this year.
Right.
We want to maximize the health of your practice going forward. So that's tax planning versus just having someone do your taxes.
So this is really key for the doctors that are listening, because when we talk to our clients, when we start working with the doctor, the majority of time, and we've talked about this on our other Facebook Lives, it's like, I was talking about the 6 worst words. We've always done it that way. Yep. And you said, what? My friend is my CPA or something.
No, well, one of the things that I cringe when I hear is when a doctor says they're thinking of going digital or thinking of doing something to improve their practice, and then they'll say, my CPA said it's not in the budget. It's like, okay, wait a minute. That's one thing I don't like to hear, because a true CPA financial analyst is going to look at what that's going to do to increase production and what that's going to do to increase net income. So it's not a matter of, gee, that digital piece of equipment is not in my budget. Wait a minute. What is that piece of equipment, or what is the services of a practice management consultant going to do to help my practice? You have to think long term. That's so I cringe when I hear someone say, my CPA says it's not in the budget. Okay, that's short term thinking.
Yeah, the other thing is that a lot of doctors that we start working with, they are usually having their friend be the CPA.
Well, and I cut you off. That's what you were getting to. But to tack onto that, I also hear people come up to me when I'm talking at the break, and they'll say, "Gosh, Doug, I bought my practice from my parent, and I inherited my parent's CPA, he or she's a nice person. They're now 67 years old. Okay, and I'm the only dentist they work with, and so they didn't mention some of these incentives you talked about. Right. So regardless of whether you utilize Aldrich or anybody else, what I tell dentists is you owe it to yourself to use specialists, because specialists understand your industry.
Right.
And a good specialist, whether it's Aldrich or Dental Practice Solutions or anybody else, they should be able to add more in value than what they're costing you. If they're not adding more in value, then you're using the wrong expert.
So here's the thing is, my husband has a Volvo. He goes to a Volvo place to get his car serviced. Mm-hmm. And sometimes he needs a special part.
Sure.
And it's really nice because he's at the Volvo dealer and they have the part.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as when you go to the dental CPA, they know exactly what you need. Same thing with us.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our area of expertise. I mean, Cindy knows hygiene, but she also knows front office.
Yeah.
She's very good at that. And I have been in hygiene for many decades. So those are the things that we know well. Anyways, Doug, we are taking off on another topic, but
I'm going to give you 2 more bits of bad news.
Oh no, I started feeling better.
Then we'll flip it.
As you could tell, I was feeling better. No.
So this does not affect me personally. Like I said, I'm 27 years in county. If you're paying alimony, you'll no longer receive a deduction for the alimony payments that you make. So for those of you that are in a situation making alimony payments, you've lost that deduction going forward.
Yeah,
bummer.
Boy.
And one other thing, effective January 1st of this year, you can no longer deduct moving expenses unless you're a member of the armed forces.
Oh my gosh, seriously?
Yep. So if you're an associate and you're moving from one location to another, you can no longer deduct your moving expenses.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Wow.
They had to grab revenue from certain places, and this is another place to try to grab.
Oh my gosh, we spent $10,000 moving from Southern California to here.
Yeah, so in the old days, you could deduct that.
Right.
But not anymore unless you're a member of the armed forces.
Oh gosh, okay.
So I'm sorry to dampen your mood temporarily.
I was starting to feel better.
But on the positive end, they've also increased the child tax credit up to $2,000 from $1,000 if you have dependent children. They've increased the child tax credit. And you touched on this earlier. They've actually increased the exclusion, the amount of money you can exclude from estate and gift taxes from $5 million to, it went from $5 million to $10 million indexed for inflation. So they think the true amount is going to be $5.5 million. It's going to go all the way up to $11 million.
Oh.
So if some of you out there are in that rarefied air, and congratulations, you're gonna have the ability to exclude, in some cases, up to $11 million from the estate tax. Yes, so that's actually a plus.
Okay,
That's
so
a
if I can
positive.
afford the $2 million in Southern California, that I can do the state tax for $11 million?
What I would encourage people that are in that world is it's a perfect time to sit down with your financial advisor and review your estate planning and your gift planning options.
Okay.
Okay, and how you want to
Note to self.
how you want to set those up in a trust if you have it, or a will, whatever the case is.
Oh, okay. I just made a note to myself for us to do that.
Okay. All right.
What questions do you guys have?
Yeah.
Hey, Dr. Polonsky, thank you for joining us. Hey, our other team's on here too.
I mentioned if there's any good questions, we'll award them a gold medal in honor of the Olympics. Okay. If you have a good question.
All right. So did you guys hear that? And also remember, you could possibly win $2,500 from Dental Practice Solutions. And I'm trying to convince him to take a look at your tax planning, not your tax deduction. Well, it's planning. That's the key word.
Tax planning is the absolute key. Tax planning has to come before.
Not just filing.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you a quick side story. I got a call from a dentist in northern Idaho, and he said, you know what? I told my CPA when we started our relationship that I don't want any surprises. Okay, that's my only, no surprises, please. And so, sure enough, the CPA called him up in March, and he said, I'm sorry, Dr. So-and-so, you owe an additional $30,000 in taxes.
Oops.
And he said, okay, thank you very much. I'm done working with you because I told you no surprises.
Oh.
So if the dentist gets the information that the CPA needs, then there should never be a surprise. So we do tax planning in the summer and tax planning again in November. So come March, we have a very solid idea before the year ever ends what you're going to owe in taxes.
Good.
Who wants to have a $30,000 tax surprise?
Exactly. That hurts.
Okay, so I'm going to shift gears quickly. So on the business side, so we talked about personal taxes.
Okay.
On the business side, there were some major changes. The tax rate for C Corps has dropped from 35% to 21%. So a significant drop in C Corp tax rates.
Oh, okay.
In addition, there were additional deductions if you're an S Corp that you can take from your business.
Okay.
So here's the bottom line. Most of our entities are set up in one of three ways. They're either an LLC, they're either an S Corp, or they're C Corp.
Okay.
So because of the changes that I just talked about, dropping the rate for the C Corps, more deductions for the S Corp, some of those deductions are dependent on your income level, and some of the benefits of being in a C Corp are dependent on when you want to sell your practice. So you put all those factors together, and I'm going to make a blanket statement here. Every single dental practice this year should sit down and reassess if they're in the most tax efficient entity structure. Because you used to maybe think, well, an S Corp was best for me. Well, maybe because of the changes, maybe a C Corp might be better, or vice versa. So the time is right for everybody to take a fresh look at how their business is structured. Does that make sense?
It does. So there are some dental offices that aren't a C Corp.
Mm-hmm.
And so they might be hurting themselves.
Well, it depends.
Okay.
So traditionally, back in the 80s, a lot of practices were set up as C Corps.
Yes.
But then some tax laws changed, and they kind of became the old school way. And most newer practices are not C Corps.
Correct.
But a lot of older ones are. My point is that if you established an S Corp a number of years ago, because of some of these changes, you may have an incentive to switch to a C Corp. I say may.
Okay.
And vice versa. If you're still a C Corp, maybe because of these some additional deductions from an S Corp, the time is right to switch over. Or if you're an LLC is simply it's a more flexible level. So you can set up as an LLC and then eventually flip that to an S Corp.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So I heard Carly, when you and Carly were doing a webinar, Carly was talking about that. As an LLC, you can you check off a box for what you want to be.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes.
Because I'm an LLC.
So you can easily switch from an LLC to an S Corp. You can, but but there are tax advantageous times to do so. It depends on the income level of your company and some other factors. So, back to my main point. Every business, and maybe even Debbie's successful business, the time might be right to take a look at the entity structure to make sure that you are getting the most tax benefits. And once again, I appreciate all of that you're all very patriotic. But why not take a fresh look and make sure that you're in the most advantageous tax structure? Because if you don't take a look, you won't know for sure.
Yeah, my eyes are getting open wide. I mean, I've been listening and reading, but tonight it's really soaking in for me, having a business, you know.
I mean, yeah, it's complicated, but you owe it to yourself to make sure that you're structured the best way for your business.
Yeah, and you know, I used to work, when I was working in a dental office, I remember some of the ladies were saying, oh, I don't want to get that raise because then I'll be in this other tax bracket.
Ouch. Okay.
I know, they don't understand. They're being they're misinterpreting the law.
They're misinterpreting how our taxes are structured. So our taxes are structured on a stair step. So the first X number of dollars are taxed at a 10% rate or whatever it is.
Yes.
So they're taxed at incremental levels. So if you get a raise, if I'm fortunate enough to double my salary, only the higher parts of that salary fall into the higher tax brackets, and only those amounts are taxed at that higher rate. So we all pay a blended rate. None of us pay just that one rate. We pay a combination. So the first part of our income is taxed at a lower rate. Then as it goes up the stair step, each incremental amount is taxed at that higher rate. So when you get a raise, and let's say you go from the 25% to the 30% tax bracket, only that additional $5,000 or whatever it is, or $50,000 or whatever, is taxed at that additional rate. So it's still good to get a raise.
It's very important for people
Never
to
turn down a raise.
Exactly, but I know there were so many women that were saying, it doesn't even matter if he gives me a $10 raise.
If you hear that at a cocktail party, one way to clear out a room is start to talk about the tax stair step. People will give you wide berth, but you can rest assured you can tell them no. Only the additional amount is taxed at the higher rate. You're still coming out ahead.
Good. Okay.
So that's a common misconception of our tax code.
Yeah. So the other thing is, I know doctors will say, you know, when I do give the raise, or if I have a hygienist full time, like one doctor I worked for, he said, I don't want hygienists who work 4 days a week. I want them to just work 1 or 2 days, because my taxes, what I pay, you're looking puzzled. He said, now my taxes, I pay so much more, but that it all comes out in the wash, right?
Well, let's think about that. So I would challenge that dentist to take a look at what their hygienist is producing for them in production. So if your hygienist, if their production is not greatly exceeding what they're costing you in employee payroll taxes, that's a bigger issue, right?
So remember, I come from those days when hygiene was thought to be a loss leader.
Unreal.
Seriously, it was. I mean, when I was thinking about being a hygienist, I interviewed a hygienist, and even my dad knew the doctor, the dentist there, and he said, they don't make enough money to support my practice. Tell your daughter not to be a hygienist.
Wow.
Seriously.
Well, times have changed.
But I'm so strong-willed that I didn't listen to them.
So what do you think what do you think a target production rate per hour or for a hygienist is? What's a ballpark?
So what we like to see is $250 an hour. It's very doable no matter where your practice is in the country, even small town. We have small town clients, and their hygienists are bringing in close to $3,000 a day.
Okay, so if we gave that hygienist a $5 an hour raise, I'm confused on why that dentist doesn't think, if they have a good hygienist, okay, and then let's factor in the cost of employee turnover. If you lose a good employee, I get it. It's one thing to lose an employee who maybe wasn't pulling their weight. If you lose a good employee over a few bucks an hour, I would call that short-sighted.
Wow.
We were talking about this before we came on the air. The difficulty in certain markets. Well, the labor market's tightening, correct?
It is, and I know some of you doctors that are listening right now. I mean, I was at a meeting speaking, and we were talking before the course started and during the breaks, and they were all the doctors were saying, how hard it is to keep employees. It's very hard, and we're seeing this shift right now where it's like a revolving door with dental employees.
Wow.
It's it's very odd. I've never seen it before.
And this is a little off topic, but what percent of, we have a question?
Yes. Linnell, you're saying that we can increase the production by doing fluoride varnish on each patient. I think that's what Linnell is saying.
I'll defer to Debbie on that.
I don't recommend that you do it on every single patient, but definitely you should assess your patient to see if they need fluoride varnish. I mean, I have a lot of onlays and inlays, and I do think fluoride varnish it's saved them. I mean, I've had them over 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are many cases, children, definitely, and high risk. I suggest that you go to the CDA or put California Dental Association and Canberra, and it was in 2011, and they redefined the caries assessment by risk management guidelines. So I want to suggest that you look at that and go by those guidelines. Let's see, I need to put my glasses on to see what she's typing. Oh, okay, 250. So I don't want to get off topic.
No, these are great questions.
These
and
are
this
great
might be a
questions.
gold medal question.
It's a gold medal question, yes. So your practice could win the $2,500 assessment. So the way that they're doing that is, I would say 50% of the adults have active gum disease. So a typical quadrant of scaling and root planing, there are probably 2 of those a day, and that's $300 and some usually. We also suggest by Forward Science the oral ID, and some of our clients, their patient's insurance reimburses $50 to $70 annually just for that.
So what percent of gum disease do you think is either undiagnosed or untreated for whatever reason? A lot?
A lot.
So what do you think it's undiagnosed? Do you think it's misdiagnosed or just not communicated properly?
Well, I was saying earlier, we are working right now with some small town dental practices, and people, I think their patients have had bad experiences. I've been seeing this over the last 18 months when I'm in the office as their consultant in these small towns. People have had bad experiences as a child, and they are afraid to go to the dentist. So by the time they get there, they have a lot of just rampant decay. And they also have gum disease. And at the very least, they have gingivitis. So the gingivitis patient, we now have a new ADA code for that. So you can go online and learn more about that at the ADA website. But they have a whole protocol for treating that gingivitis patient. And that fee is between a pro fee and a perio maintenance fee. So it's like $140 I'll see the next day after they treat the gingivitis patient. The doctors are having the money deposited electronically into the bank account from the insurance company that reimbursed. It's $140 is what I'm seeing for that procedure right there. So it's properly treatment planning your patients with the proper sequence. And your patients, once they know how valuable your services are, meaning that you're helping a patient to live a longer, healthier life, they are more likely to come to your office routinely and therefore not have to pay so much money and spend so much time treating disease.
Maintenance.
Yeah, it's maintenance. It's prevention.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps you with your answer to why $250 an hour is doable for a hygienist. And that's part of it.
Awesome.
So, yeah, like our Facebook page, the 14 Days of Love, because if you share it and like it, you could be one of the winners, and then we can work with you and show you more about what kind of value we add.
I'm going to mention one more tax break real quick
Sure.
that was not touched. We have any more questions? Or
No, how do you figure? Okay, so hopefully that helps answer your question. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you. You're welcome.
So one tax break that wasn't touched was something we've talked about in prior episodes, but it's the cost segregation analysis. So if a dental office does a new building, new build out, or a major leasehold improvement, you can do an analysis of those costs and take a number of those costs and move them forward and get quicker depreciation. So let's say a dentist does $1 million build out of a brand new building, $1 million.
Yeah,
that
I
happens
see
all
that
the time.
happening.
If they do a cost segregation, they look at all the costs involved in the electricity, the heating, the lighting, the water. All that stuff is necessary to provide dentistry. You take all those costs and you move them up, And for our dentists that do a cost seg on $1 million, they get about an extra $100,000 in cash flow that first 5 years back in their pocket.
I love it.
Major deal. It's a game changer if you're going to expand.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah,
we got to talk about this when we do our courses together this year.
It's phenomenal. Because a lot of dentists don't know about it because their CPA maybe doesn't specialize in dentistry. Think about that. Out of that $1 million, an extra $100,000 comes back to you in depreciation you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Otherwise, you have to spread that depreciation over 39 years. This way, you get it in 5 years, and so you get that money back in your pocket. Then you plow that back in your practice. You put that in your retirement plan. You go on that trip around the world with your spouse, whatever the case. You give it to your team in 401k bonuses, whatever.
Yeah,
right?
I like it.
Yeah, it's powerful. So that was not touched, which is good.
Good news.
So, big picture, taxes have gone down for individuals. Okay. Certain deductions have changed, but the other big picture is you owe it to yourself to make sure you have the most tax efficient entity structure. LLC, S Corp, or C Corp.
Okay.
The time is now to reassess that.
Oh my gosh, that was great.
Does it make sense?
I learned something new from this tonight. You
It's
and
important.
I being here.
It's important.
I was studying this information, and I think even if the hygienists are here listening, we have some hygienists. It's like now you understand why you can get that raise, and hopefully, if you see that you can produce $250 an hour, you deserve it. We are very valuable. I mean, that person that told me not to be a hygienist because, we don't bring in any money. Oh my gosh, boy, have times changed.
Let me ask you an off-topic question. I'm throwing this at you cold. What % of hygienists would you say have some sort of bonus plan or incentive plan as part of their comp structure?
Not that many.
Really?
No.
Interesting.
No. And we actually recommend, and so if you are a hygienist listening, you'll love this because you can produce at least 250 net collectible production. There is a way to do that. So what I want to say is that we suggest that the doctors give their hygienists a small guarantee. So it might be, I'm just arbitrarily telling you, it could be $270 to $270, it could be $300 a day, or 30% of their total net collectible production. So imagine that it's $1,600, or even if it's $3,000 on some days.
Right.
What is 30% of $3,000?
900.
Yeah, hello. Imagine who wants that job and who's going to keep that position as a hygienist. They want to be valuable. They want to treat the patient with the highest level of care. They don't mind doing the oral ID, which takes less than 5 minutes. They don't mind talking about the treatment plan because 80% of what's on doctor's schedule should come from what the hygienist has showed their patient they see in their mouth while they're working in the patient's mouth, assessing what's going on.
And one of the things I would stress, so we see some of our docs that use incentive plans for the hygienist. You want to ensure it's structured in a way that incents the behavior that you want. So everything should be about patient care. It should be driven by proper patient care.
Right.
And getting that hygienist to be motivated to provide the best level of patient care they can.
Yes.
And then it becomes a win-win.
I mean, if somebody's not happy with their salary, they don't want to go the extra mile usually because they're not happy. But if you have somebody who loves what they do, they have the right attitude, the right thought process, because dentistry, what we're doing, Doug, is we are for sure helping our patients live a longer, healthier life.
Okay, so hundreds of years ago, people used to commit suicide because of dental pain. Okay, think about it. Hundreds of years ago, they would get an infection in their mouth. It would start to slowly spread to their brain. There's no cure. So I try to remind our wonderful dental colleagues and in the community out there, you're making people's lives better. The hygienist, the office team, you're making people healthier and happier every day. Yeah, there's a little bit of phobia sometimes about going to the dentist.
Sure. But
let's go back in time. I mean, we're creating, we're making people healthier and happier. And I think it's important that people listening remember that. You're doing good work.
Yeah, we're doing really good things. I was so proud of one of our clients, and I put a shout out to her earlier today because she was on the news this morning. She's doing a free dental day.
Oh,
and they
I love those stories.
just I was so proud. I mean, she shared with me the video of her on TV earlier today. She's doing some of these doctors, and just the team, and the team's excited, the doctor's excited, and their patients are excited. I mean, when I was looking at her reviews from patients, it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of patients that are writing reviews about her.
Those stories they're kind of bittersweet, and by that I mean they're heartwarming, but they're also heartbreaking when you see how many people come out of the woodwork that have not sought dental care because they can't afford it.
Right.
And so when you see those people and the joy that you're giving them when they can get some dental care, I think probably the people that are giving are getting more in return.
Oh my gosh, my team was asking me that this morning. They were saying, do you prefer, I think, or was it yesterday on Valentine's Day, they're like, do you like to give the gift or receive the gift? And I go, definitely like to receive the gift.
Wait a minute.
Give the gift. I like to give the gift.
Hang on, Debbie, wait a minute. Yesterday was Valentine's Day? Just kidding.
Did you you're in trouble. Yeah, my team, when they came to the office, they had a little gift, and I love to see people. I like to see them open the gift.
Just kidding. I knew it was Valentine's Day.
Oh, good. You could have been in hot water. So, anyways, I think we've been in here for like 45 minutes.
Oh gosh,
now.
we've been rambling.
Yeah, we've been rambling.
Okay, so let's give a shout out. So on March 1st.
It's a Thursday, 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today, you're going to have a special guest, Sean Lindsay, who's an amazing dental attorney, and he specializes in HIPAA and some other things around the dental legal world. Fascinating gentleman.
Oh my gosh, we have a surprise for you. I'm not going to tell you what he's going to share with you, but you will be shocked with something he's going to tell you.
Sean is with Harris, Byrne, and Christensen. Phenomenal guy, and so he's going to be a special guest Thursday, March 1st.
I met him recently, so ladies, I want to tell you something. I thought it was kind of easy on the eyes, and he's young. He's too young, and I'm married. But anyways, just stay tuned, and I want you guys to write down on your calendar, March 1st, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, right here, same channel, and I think you're going to be shocked with this one thing he's going to talk to you about. It's pretty interesting.
Game changer.
Yeah, it's interesting. You had no idea that you had to do this one thing.
Well, thanks again, Debbie.
Hey.
This has been phenomenal.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Well, I'll see you tomorrow at the charity event.
See you guys in Medford.
Yeah, Medford tomorrow night. Be there or be square, because we'll be blackjack dealers. Okay, see you soon. Bye, guys.